Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the E-Tims podcast. My name is Desmond, and I am very glad to say that for now I have been joined by our resident tactician, the man in the suburbs, Hector Bandido. Good evening, Hector.
Evening, guys.
Thanks for joining, Hector. And the man from across the water who's throwing out freebies left, right and centre before we came on air. We won't go into it, but there may be a promotion going along with this podcast very soon. Monty C. Burns, C standing for cut, perhaps, Monty.
Cut and dry.
Concession, cut and dry. Yeah, exactly. Concessionary cut via Monty Burns. Thanks very much for joining, Monty. We do hope that Ralph Malph can join. He did say he could be available. We do not know if he's somewhere in Stoke or he's possibly en route to the Dortmund game. He did hope to get over, but we have not heard anything from him yesterday, but he did hope to join us tonight. So we'll see. Hopefully he joins. If he doesn't, fair enough.
Don't think his wife's heard from him either, Desi, to be honest with you. I don't think. I think he's went for a look and not going to come back.
The one major difference there being us saying if he joins, that's good. And I don't think his wife will be saying the same. She'll be basically quite glad that he stays away. She'll be sitting in the coffee van outside in the driveway, you know what I mean? Enjoying herself. So that's that. So we'll wait and see if Val joins. So here we are. So it's not that long since our last pod, but we just thought with recent events and recent games and up-and-coming games, we'd jump on and have a quick chat covering what's happened in the last week or so. So I just did a quick check, Hector. The last pod that we did was the 5 go mad, the Bratislava result. And following that, we then had some predictions regarding the Falkirk game.
Yep.
And the first question I asked, in fact, I'll come to you, Monty, because realistically, it was you I was listening to earlier on. The first question I asked for the Falkirk game was, Monty C. Burns, do you think there'll be many changes for the Falkirk game? Monty, do you think anyone had any idea of the number of changes that were going to pop up for that Falkirk game?
I think I pitched on the podcast that we could see as many changes, but I don't think anyone would have foreseen him going all in and making 8. So short answer, no. But I think I pinged that up too when we were kind of mid-angst collectively that, you know, with the quality that we have at that level, we should be okay. It's going to be disjointed. Yes, it's after a Champions League game. Yes, it loses fluidity, but maybe we underestimated just how well McGlynn's got Falkirk playing. And to be fair, Hector, I think, mentioned that on the podcast too. So we met what effectively is an SPL team who play a unique style in SPL terms, you know, prepared to press us when we've made so many changes, Desi. So I think it did catch us a wee bit cold, but thankfully we're all right after that. And I don't think any of the changes that came in, while they didn't cover themselves in glory, Desi, I don't think any of them really flopped either, did they?
No, exactly. And it was not the best because we were having a chat on WhatsApp, etc. And even when I was posting stuff like none of the guys really did much to impress, but it wasn't that sort of game, Hector. It was just one of the ones, get the result, get out the way, get some time on the pitch for your trustees, etc. Let's be honest. But it was also, so Hector, as Monty alludes to, you did say to people, watch out, Falkirk, a very well drilled outfit, playing good football. And he did, I think it was over 40 games unbeaten, wasn't it? They had that big long record.
They were really good from the first minute. Really, well, probably took them maybe 5 minutes to settle, 5-10 minutes. Then after that, to half time, they were the better team.
Mm-hmm.
8 changes was a hell of a lot. And Rodgers, he said after the game as much. He goes, look, he took the risk. He appreciates that the team were nowhere as fluid. He wasn't expecting them to be. Guys making their starting debuts. A lot of guys hardly getting a game. But you're kind of going to expect that. And you'd notice, we're going to come to Saturday night's game there, but you notice the difference when it's only one player or two coming in with your core first team starters, the difference in performance. But Falkirk were excellent. The way that they passed it for the keeper, the defenders, using the width of the pitch or going through the middle, and then pressing us nice and high. And it mentioned that McGlynn was, in effect, a guy who'd worked for Rodgers' first spell at Celtic. And he kind of modelled his teams on playing like Celtic, obviously with a lot less resources. And they were a breath of fresh air. I know some folk will say, because you won 5-2, but even at half-time we're losing 2-1. We were commenting on it. They were a breath of fresh air, how they were playing, attacking football, high energy pace. And basically, because of the level of play they've got and their changes in 60 minutes, they kind of tired, as you'd expect. Probably a bit like us under Ange. Remember Ange's first season here, we go flat out for 60 minutes, then we're blown at our arse. A bit like that with Falkirk, albeit us bringing on a couple of really good players made it more difficult. But just on Falkirk a wee minute, you look at them and go, and Rodgers said at the end of the game, he said they're the best domestic team, or best team we played this season. And he was right, we could all see it. But you look at the other Scottish teams, why would nobody go and try and appoint John McGlynn or approach Falkirk for him? Because he's consistently this isn't a one-off. He's consistently playing this style of football. He's at the top of the. I think they're now second. They lost at the weekend actually away to Raith. First game they've lost, other than to us in the last year or so. But you look at teams like Kilmarnock, teams like Hibs. You go, why are they not going? Okay, McInnes is at Kilmarnock just now. You know, he's got a way of playing a game that I wouldn't pay any money to go and watch. But there's a lot of these teams that just play a boring style of football. You've got Hearts, you've got Hibs, you've got people a lot more resources. Why not give this guy a chance to play good football? I don't get it. I just don't. Is he not a big enough name? I'm not sure. But anyway, all credit to Falkirk were great. Well done.
No, that's just reminding me of something, because there was a conversation when Naismith gets sacked, or might even been a bit before he gets sacked at Hearts, and some Hearts fan just pinged on Twitter something about, we need to go forward and we need to get us back to where we should. We need to get us up to the levels where we should be, something like. But wasn't it like talking about football levels? It was like talking about like football hierarchy levels. And I wrote back, I went, no having a dig, genuine question. What level do you think Hearts should be at? Not like, you see a lot of it in the English Premiership, that delusions of grandeur of we should be challenging for top 6 and should this be happy in the top 20 or whatever. And again, like, this guy wasn't really thinking that Hearts should be in the top 3 in Scotland. It was as if they should be challenging in Europe and stuff. Not when you could, as you say there, they could go and get a John McGlynn who could guarantee them top 6 every year, where you would expect the Hearts budget, etc. But then maybe get a cup, but bring on youngsters, start making some money. No, like, develop the club and take the club with a 5-year plan, actually progression. Rather than going, and again, I've got to look at Aberdeen. That guy's done great at Aberdeen, fair dues. But they could go and get a foreigner, and again, I'm not meaning to sound xenophobic. They could just go and get somebody sexy for the Scandinavian leagues, and again, hope for the best. But they've tried that with Castro and that. Remember, let's get some guy from Spain, Scottish getting in, a laptop manager, disaster. And then they'll go back to searching for a Craig Levine. I still don't know why they just don't go for Hearts. Don't go for McInnes. Let's be honest.
But there's the same old game of McInnes. I know we're going to come on to talk Celtic virtually the rest of the pod. But in terms of who we're playing against, in terms of the benefit of Scottish football, in terms of selling the product, watching it on TV, going to attend the games, watching exciting football, you look at McGlynn and what he's done in his previous couple of clubs, and you go, well, hold on a minute. Still, you want to get more people like him coaching the very top teams. And you're right. If he goes to Hearts, they're absolutely top 6. But then they're pushing for third. Who knows? Rangers have a poor season, potentially. Right? Second. In a cup. But playing exciting, fast-paced attacking football. Sure, as a supporter, that's what you want to go. Well, look at us as Celtic fans. We've won in the past and we've been fed up. Because the style of football, we're going, wait a minute, we've paid money to go and watch attacking football, and it's been dire. And then, thankfully for us, Rodgers this year's been incredible. With Ange for a couple of years was incredible. But we've had it in the past, we're going, I'm not going to watch this shit. You know, I won't mention certain managers, but we know who we're talking about, where it's been pretty boring. And that's not something you want to pay good money to go and watch. So, anyway, I can't believe John McGlynn, you know, obviously Falkirk fans won't hear us saying this, but for the benefit of the game of Scotland, God almighty, somebody in the top tier looking for a quality guy, go and get him. Help the product, help the game.
Just as you were both kind of extolling him, I knew that I had some association in my head with Hearts previously. He had it for a season, but he started his coaching career at Hearts. He took over as caretaker manager after Robertson and Burley. I'm just literally reading it. Then he went to Wraith, won a couple of Manager of the Month awards. Did okay, but ultimately they got relegated. He won the Manager of the Year award in 2010. So, you're looking at a guy who obviously, even going back 10 or 15 years, had something about him. Then he went to Hearts, mutually consented out of the place, and then Livy scouted for us, and then back to Wraith and Falkirk.
Sorry, Foxy, can I just ask you a question? When amongst all that, did he come to work for Celtic under Rodgers? After his
Livingston stint. So there's two mutual consents here. One in Hearts on February 2013, Hector, and then went to Livy in September 2013, December 2014. It was a rolling contract. They weren't really doing it. He walked away December 14, and they both agreed. Celtic then hired him in January. Interestingly, Dyla hired him, first team scout, and then he continued after the appointment of Rodgers in 2016. Left 2 years later and went to Wraith Rovers in the Championship.
He mentions Rodgers as his inspiration, so just
as his big sort of influence.
His whole conversion to this style of play has been working with Rodgers for
the last 8 years, basically.
Started everything pre that, mate. Well, I might have done well. I would say look at everything post that period and the transformations him as a coach, adaptability and style of play.
The other side too, Hector, just to round it out, that might be going against him. He's 62 now, right? And you've got that. He's been almost, dare I say it, a bit of a journeyman in Scottish football terms. But you're 100% right. People forget, I think, that ultimately football is meant to be an entertainment business, and the balance between being entertaining and winning games should be actually something that means that all of these clubs would lean towards entertainment, especially given the nature of the imbalance, let's call it, in Scottish football. So, for Falkirk to come to Celtic Park, fuck it, have a go, versus doing a Levine and playing a 4-6 none, knowing that you're going to get beat. And that's a psychological thing. And if a club can be brave enough to back a manager like that and let him grow into it like that, and if more of them could do it, it would be a far better product, to your point, Desi. But Hearts realistically, they've got that new crowd now, 10 million of investment to go in. They're going to go with that similar system to Brighton. I doubt they're going to give it to someone like McGlynn. They'll go for, as you say, a laptop manager.
Yeah, but again, you're John McGlynn, 62. Dare I say, he might be a perfect foil for your John Kennedys if he ever decides to make the big move to a Hibs. We're still waiting for that move to Hibs, let's be honest. So that kind of idea. But so again, we salute John McGlynn's attacking approach. I know the cynics will say, they get beat 5-2, but that flattered Celtic, that whole goal, his final result, Monty. But at the end of the day, the subs changed the games. And Ida and Kuhn, especially Kuhn, 2 goals and 2 assists. So again, nice to see the strength coming off the bench without any cobwebs having to be blown off or any kind of resentment. I don't know, resentment's a strong word, but you know that way, that kind of huff, why am I not starting? It was just, let's just get the job done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that that notion of buying into the collective is starting to become Rodgers' squad now. And the nature of the signings in this window, he signed first team starting players. So for anyone taking the huff, like if you're Hattari, you're not really taking the huff because Engels has come in. Similarly to Bernardo. You know that these are all of a level and these are all going to rotate. I think it's the same as the back where, Trusty, I quite looked, I know we're going to talk about it, I quite liked the look of him at the weekend. I thought he looked solid, he looked aggressive. And I think also, Desi, when you're getting a game, and then you're being rotated out again, there's going to be a huge amount of that, I think, through the season. So maybe Rodgers has just weeded out the huffy types, like Haksabanovic. He clearly didn't like him and got him out the door very, very quickly. So we could be seeing that, Desi, all of those anecdotes about a really healthy dressing room and, everybody's in it together. And actually, I put a lot of that down to Cal Mack as well. I put a lot of the cultural aspects of what's going on with that team down to him.
Yeah, I'd agree, but I also don't think it's even just him, because you do get reports that Arthur Johnson, Greg Taylor, they're big personalities, but they're big leaders in the dressing room. And again, Hector, we're coming on to the St Johnstone game now, but when you see Celtic players after the game, like if it's at Celtic Park and they're going to do their walk round, or even the other night against St Johnstone, you see all the players. I know it's easy when you're winning, it's easy, but there's a sense of camaraderie there. They're all laughing and joking, and they're laughing and joking with their competition. I mean, it's not as if your Greg Taylor's in a clique with somebody else, there's a Scottish clique and maybe the old French clique idea. It does appear to be a general team effort now.
Interesting. I noticed, one of you mentioned in the previous podcast, but I definitely noticed that at full time against St Johnstone was Ida and Kyogo together, the two strikers, because they're obviously, they appreciate there'll be a balance this year between, they're both first team starters, but there seems to be this buy-in that between us, we'll carry the load between us this season, and we're happy. You're doing well, I'm happy, and vice versa. And you can definitely see that. It's interesting. Kuhn was asked, Celtic did the podcast, Celtic FC the podcast, and it was down at one of the sports stores in the town. And Kuhn was there, Maeda was there, and a couple other players. But Kuhn was asked about what it's like. James Forrester's 500 games, blah, 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 but you're kind of playing the same position as him, competition. And Kuhn said, well, basically, James Forrester's brilliant. He says, off the pitch, training, talking to me, he's always giving me guidance, advice about the club, about the city, things to do, help me in my position. That was really insightful. Just on Monty's earlier point, but Kuhn saying that and talking about that, I think it brings that sense of, crikey, we are really tight. Winning makes you tighter, by the way. Let's not be under any illusion. You're not winning, you start to get splits in squads. But it doesn't matter. We're winning and playing well, so we should be nice and tight. And I think we're going to talk about the St Johnstone game, Desi.
Yep.
Just this performance was just. St Johnstone.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you're in the top division. We've had good teams in the past. We've gone to these places where it can be tough, and the nature of how we're playing this season, the first 9 games, only played 9 games. I'm struggling to remember just a kind of small window of games for the start of the season, us playing as good as this for the first 9 or so games. We've obviously had better teams. I'm not saying we're the best team ever by any means, but what I'm getting to is to start after 9 games, was it plus 20 goals in the league, 5 in the Champions League, another 8 in 2 League Cup games. What's that, 30 odd goals in 9 games? We've conceded, 3 goals or something? But it's just for pace, for tempo, for energy, for fitness. And then he's making subs, and the guys coming on are keeping that. Back to Monty's point about first team players. They're coming on every bit as good as the guys that's going off. So it's just remarkable watching this, and some of the goals at the weekend.
Yeah.
You were actually watching the goals going, okay, that first goal was a really good goal. Wait a minute. The second goal where it ends up Bernardo, 10, 12 passes through a press. Bernardo scores after a fantastic lay off by Kyogo. Then you get the third, with there's tricks and flicks and everything. Then Dyson touches it to Taylor, who puts an incredible cross in. Kyogo scores, and you think, you know better that. Well, fast forward to goals 5 and goal 6. And goal 6 for me, weird about you guys, we fucking jumped out the couch. Screaming goal of the fucking century when Bailly does that wee fucking flick back to Ida. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For what we're watching football just now, that I think is for us truly elite. But we're going to come to about being elite later on in the podcast. But it's a joy to watch, Desi. Enjoy to watch.
So we're at the St Johnstone game. So basically, Monty, St Johnstone at the weekend, the biggest disappointment. Let's be honest, it was the biggest disappointment of the season because some of us had bet Celtic to win 8-0. So Maeda's goal get 100-1. I know I had £1 on it, 100-1. A wee this a wee novelty bet, the usual, and you're sitting there and the game started, Monty, and it was a wee bit 10 minutes, there we go, and then suddenly the goal start flying in, and then it's a case of, as I put up on Twitter, this 3-0, this 8-0 bet at 100-1 has suddenly went from a daft laugh to hold on a minute. And then, of course, so let's just go back. The Maeda goal, Monty. You're probably the most forensic out of us all. Have you managed to study that terrible foul by Trusty on that Pearson Johnson player that almost decapitated him?
It just wasn't a fucking foul. I don't even know how, other than the way that he moved his arm marginally as he run past him, it was almost like, when someone's going to run into you, kind of do that defensive shuffle, or maybe there's no foul there. It's just not a foul. You could look at it a million times and there's no foul. And I think even Michael Stewart in the commentary was going, "That's cool. What are you doing? That's not a foul."
Sorry. This done that. Before we came on air, folks, we were going through the agenda and I was saying to the guys, "There's something else. I had something else." And it was mainly for Ralph, but I couldn't remember it. And this as we start talking about that decision and VAR, I just remembered it's the fact that the Scottish FA VAR manager, John Moss, has already decided to leave after only 52 days. It's just summed up Scottish VAR. And just to sum up this podcast, folks, Ralph had just pinged on our WhatsApp to say, "Sorry, won't be on. Just remember that it's my anniversary." So that's how switched on he is.
Wait, did you ask him? Is he going to Dortmund?
Surely he could have made the second half, to quote Jimmy Sanderson back in the day. You know what I mean? So sorry, Monty. Yeah, that decision, it was just incredible, the reaction. Nobody could understand. And I had Maeda to score. I think I've been about 5 for 5 in the prediction on our Twitter on the predictions. And Maeda scores, and I'm like, "Thank you." And then suddenly it's like, "I think they're going to have a look at this." And you're like, "What for?" It was like, why? What? There's no reason whatsoever to look at that goal. Mental.
I got the other offside that was called. We had 2 disallowed, didn't we? We've 2 disallowed. Did we have 2 disallowed?
Another one. I don't.
Aye.
No, the 6th goal, they flagged as offside, but VAR reversed it.
That's what it was. Aye. Because it looked like they were putting up 2 pictures that were different, if you know what I mean. And you're looking at it wondering, like, Moss has cleared the building, so now they're back to their fucking tricks
Kyogo's
again.
header. Kyogo's header.
Kyogo's header.
They checked that, make it 2-3-0, was
it? Yeah. So, you're right. I think the only people pissed off would have been people back in cricket scores. But also, what's good about it, and I know we're gonna spend a fair bit of time looking forward, but in retrospect, that type of performance, I actually totally agree with you, Hector. I think we're at a level now where this is Roger's team playing Roger's style of football, bought in, and he talked about the thing that he wants Celtic to differentiate on is their counter press. And he said after the last 2 games, the way that they've applied themselves to the counter press, looks like there's certain triggers for when they all go, certain triggers when they don't go. And they're doing it now. And he says that's the identity thing and the mentality he's trying to put into them. I genuinely believe that it'll only take us, and Bratislava might be the key, but maybe there's probably just too big a gap for where we're going next tomorrow night. But I think we only need one performance like that in Europe against one of the bigger boys to start really believing that you can play that type of football in Europe. Because we've got all the tools now, when you look at it, lads. Look at the pace we have up front, which we've never had. Other than a gap, I can't remember the last time. I genuinely struggling. Like, who else is as fast or was ever as fast as Maeda? Can you think of one since Didier Gap?
Well,
Usain Bolt, maybe.
That's a perfect example. Because I don't know if you saw the Big Ben's doing the FIFA or whatever it is these days. They've got the badges. So the video games come out and they've got the new badges. And he was presenting all the Celtic players with their badges. So it was Anthony Ralphs and Stephen Welsh. Callum McGregor, he was like gold or platinum, whatever the highest level is. They're all happy. But Diogo, he was happy as Maeda. Maeda comes in and gets his, and Big Bems is waiting to do the big presentation. Maeda just picks up and walks away, and Bems just looks at the camera as if, well, that was that then. But it comes up with Maeda's badge, and it's pace 93. And I mean, and I actually wrote, I don't play it, but I wrote on Twitter, who's got a higher pace rating than that? I mean, like, when you think about it, it's like mental.
Can I add one to that? I'll take it they've not got it. Endurance. Right. Endurance for him must be fucking more than 100.
But strangely, right, they've also got like defence 60 odds, and I'm going, surely they recognise that he's the first line of defence.
The first line of defence.
I mean, that's...
And Kuhn, interestingly, Desi, Kuhn is, I think, equally as fast over the first 10 to 15 yards. And you've also got Kyogo's insane level of application to the press. Yeah, so you start from there. Even against a better team that will hold the ball and play triangles around us, like all the top ones will. But you've got that, and you've got the buy-in, and it appears you've got the intelligence as to know when to fucking do it and when not. And then you step back into midfield, and you've got the same type of attributes now building. Bernardo, 6 foot-ish, Engels, 6'1", athletic, both very good on the ball, both got a bit of dig about them. Engines up and down. You've got Hattari in that mix in terms of his quality, and you've got McGregor orchestrating all that behind. You start to look at us now as a unit and go, fucking hell. Our weakness is at the back, arguably. Yet we haven't conceded a goal in the league yet.
20 goals for 0.
I think the difference is, and you mentioned the counter press there, and for those the counter press and rear press and all these. For all these newfangled terms, but in essence, it's having triggers where the opposition are in their own half most of the time, right? No far from their penalty box, where we're saying no, we're going to. It's actually a form of defence to counter press. People just don't pick up on that. It's more about it's actually keeping the ball as far away as possible from your goal. Right. So if you can press teams 75 yards from your penalty box or from your goal line, that's fucking a great way to defend if you've got the players to do it. Pep's Barcelona obviously played a unique, probably one of the best, if not the best ever. But that was one of his reasons for doing it, was to keep the ball as far away as possible from his goal. So Rodgers has been a disciple of Guardiola for a long, long time, without obviously the assets, the quality of player. But for the first time in his Celtic managerial career, you touched upon it, we've got pace, athleticism now, middle to front, as a collective that we've never had. That allows you to do things, whereas before I think we've sat deep, and what inevitably happens is, well, teams just fucking eventually can walk through us. But just to pick up on one thing, I feel as if I do this all the time, but fuck it, I'm doing it again. Dyson Maeda, right?
No, we're coming to him. We're coming to him soon.
If you just call it the E-Tim's fucking podcast sponsored by Dyson Maeda's enduring legs, right? But it was Rodgers was asked after the match, 6-0, must be pleased. Of course he was, delighted, over the moon. But he said in the dressing room, the one thing he'd mentioned to the players was on the 86th minute, was Dyson Maeda were 6-0 up. Britain was at 60, 70 yards. The guy had a 10-yard start. The defender caught the guy midway in our half to win the ball. And it's just, that's an example to any player. If you've got a colleague, a professional teammate doing that, it makes you think, I've got to be doing that. You know, because that's just hard effort. That's work and hard effort, isn't it? It's a mindset, isn't it? It's good when you're winning, you take the foot off the gas. Here's a guy that's saying, fuck that. I've got a job to do at the best of my ability, and I'm going to do it. And that's just fabulous.
Well, that was his phrase, wasn't it? I will just keep running. I will always keep running for this team. And you think me, but again, there's this listening to you guys there. There's a few wee aspects. Celtic like if you looked at Ange, etc., and we had a way of playing, but we had a singular way of playing. Brendan Rodgers, Celtic at the moment, are varying the way they play. Like kind of the ball over the top for Kuhn, etc. I mean, like that way. So Rodgers touched on that also. They were like Alan Hutton and Charlie McGrew were asking about tactics, and they just started talking about zones. It's like even right into full manager speak, and he's going, so you draw him out, ready to hit them on the that whole kind of quick turnaround, the Marino stuff, and all that. As soon as they make a mistake, pounce on it. And I put on Twitter, I know there was lovely goals towards the end of the game, but see if you watch the first goal again, you've got three guys at 5'7", all pouncing on that ball in the middle of the park. The two wingers don't stay out wide anymore. They don't wait for the game to come to them. It's like go and hound the guys. St Johnstone guys didn't know what to do. I know the ball broke conveniently, but they made that happen.
It's pressure.
And Maeda causes the friction. The ball, the St Johnstone guy panics. Kuhn with a lovely header. Hugo's already away. I mean, it was like the three guys working perfectly. But you're not talking about like your big midfielders. And I don't mean that against them, but it just shows you don't need to be big giants to actually have an impact. The three of them were dynamite. The three of them are playing fantastic together.
But the thing is,
been fantastic.
I think the step up nowadays is that physicality at the next level. That's the real differentiator. And I watched about half an hour, just as we segue before we won. I watched not even half an hour, but 20 minutes of the Huns game against Hibs. And it was a real noticeable thing looking at their team. Because I've said this, after we hammered them, I said, I don't think they're as wooden or as bad as we perceive them to be. And one of the things that's completely noticeable about them, it's not fitness, it's their physicality. They're not, if I looked at their midfield, for example, Tom Lawrence is like a very slight version of one of our bigger midfielders. The other two, Connor Barnes, 4'7", and that little fucking Belgian twerp, another one at 5'2", and they just don't have that modern footballer athleticism. So if we're a level above that, what we're probably going to face over the next couple of games in the Champions League is the level above us, but only in certain parts now, Desi, where we've built this, and the unit always trumps the individual. You know what I mean? If that cohesiveness is there, as you say, you don't need to be 6'2" to be pressing. And in fact, when you are that smaller, slighter, nippier guy, you can really cause a big athletic guy a lot of fucking problems, especially when there's two or three of you over. So we've great challenges coming up, Desi, but I do think, to re-emphasise it, Rodgers prefers that more athletic build of player for obvious reasons.
Of course. And again, we're loving the whole Engels impact, and Bernardo especially. We'll come to him in a second too. But I just love that for the first goal. That whole your three front guys all working together and all attacking together. They're not like we've seen it before. People just hog the touchline and the game passes them by, and you wonder what was the point. You've got to get involved, or they're waiting for the ball to come in at the back post and hope for the best. None of that anymore. It's get involved. You've got the stamina to keep going. You've not got 10 runs in you. You've got 100 runs in you. So it's been
there's two things. So there's two things defenders hate at any level, but particularly top level. It's pace and it's movement. There's nothing about defenders love better than playing a static forward, static striker who maybe try and split the two centre halves. See forwards, the three forwards with pace and movement. It's every defender's worst nightmare at any level. And Monty's point, we're going to come in more detail, but for us, it could be the big differentiator for us compared to previous seasons, is we've got something we've never had before at the top end of the pitch. But anyway, sorry, back to you.
No. Exactly. Like, again, I know we're coming out to Dortmund and that's the big game, but I just want to salute a few things, Hector, and I'll start with you. And that was Hugo scoring away from home. That's another wee box tick. They've been talking about. There's been this media stuff, the usual commentary nonsense. I hadn't scored away from home for a while, and then Saturday night he goes and scores again. Another wee box tick, another wee confidence booster. No, that sort of way. It's just another wee step in the right direction. And again, no happy. And then Ida comes on, And again, slots away that goal. And see if you watch that amazing last goal again, you see Ida running away and looking as if, did you just see that? Not that way, as if how happy he was to be part of it. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant, right? So Kyogo got his goal, Ida scored, but Hector, Paulo Bernardo. I mean, he's literally the epitome now of my knock knock, who's there, Matt O'Reilly joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, we all talk about, we're all guilty of it, right? Of recency bias. That's life, especially football fans. We turn over of players coming and going, unlike back in the day. When we spoke at the last podcast, I think it was more about Engels, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And Engels just looks at his Rolls Royce, right? And he's a babysitting exercise for hopefully 2 seasons at minimum.
And he was missing against
Right.
St Johnstone.
Right, in a good game.
But remember we spoke about the season ahead. 12 months or so ago, we were asked who we thought would be the one player that would really improve last season. Everyone is without a doubt went Matt O'Reilly. And wasn't a surprise. It was the obvious one, wasn't it? And I think the level he jumped was maybe the surprise. He jumped not just 1 or 2, it was like several hurdles.
And then he jumped. Then he jumped shit.
Then he jumped shit. This summer, with the same question again, and Bernardo was, for me, Bernardo was the one who was in the game against Rangers, where for 60 minutes he was the best player in the pitch. Then was the only player dropped for the next game at the bench. And you're going,
tough love.
Fuck me, right? How
Yeah.
does Rodgers explain that to the best player on the pitch who fucking demolished the Huns? But this is what I love about Bernardo. No sulk, no nothing. Bang. I'm going to fucking keep going and keep going and keep going. So it was interesting. He was so good. His goal was so good. His cross from ahead, his header was so good. His general play was so good. But he started. And I think, maybe Monty said it previously, I think for the away games in Europe, I wonder him starting was to get those 3.
That's your 3.
For the physicality, the energy for Dortmund. But Hatate, he's going to come on when there's more space in the game, maybe half an hour to go, 25 minutes to go, which will suit him more.
That's absolutely it, I think.
But Bernardo, we've got 4 guys, 4 absolute quality players right now fighting for 3 positions. And how good is it?
You can almost flick that around. The only constant with that is McGregor. And I said it quite controversially a couple of seasons ago when he got injured, that when O'Reilly stepped back to that number 6, I thought we played better football. Purely, but it was purely because of O'Reilly having that bit more physicality, probably just a wee bit more silky on the eye. But I think you'll see in away games, that's your 3, unless there's injuries. McGregor, Engels, and Bernardo. For the home Champions League games, I think Hatate comes in because we've more of the ball. It's a home game. I think Hatate's ability in those environments where you have more of the ball is probably just that wee bit more of an opener. He's given you maybe a better opportunity of going ahead if such a balance could be struck with those 3. Those 3 give you a better opportunity to go head to head with a team that's arguably better technicians. I think when you put Hatate in there, you're losing a little bit in the physicality. You're opening yourself up a wee bit more, but you're on the front foot. You're fucking going for them. Like, you're not going to do that away from home against any of the big, the pot 1 teams. You'll never do that. So I think we'll see that variation, which again, if people are aware that that's going to be the rules in the squad and they've bought into it, you can't really complain about that. You know what your job is in Dortmund if you're Hatate. You're coming on the last 20, 25 minutes.
So Desi, Paulo Bernardo.
Yeah. Oh, Big Paul Bernard, as I've been calling him. But again, let's not forget, he scored a cracking goal against Falkirk as well. I mean, he's just again like that. You know, like when we watched him against Rangers, like that turning out in the middle of the park, he started to go, wait a minute, because had wee flashes. I mean, we had wee bits and pieces. And I know he scored against Rangers last season, but now you can just see he's just basically saying, give me the ball. I'm the Portuguese under-21 captain. I know this is my place to step up. And this is the thing. There's competition for places and there's opportunity. And that's a guy who's really stepped up. You know what I mean? And it's a wonderful thing to see. Interestingly, like talking about McGregor, Rodgers did say the other day that he's also been looking at, because of the players he's got now on the park at the same time as in whatever 3 are playing, that also gives him an opportunity to say to McGregor, go and you move up for 10 minutes, and Bernardo can go and sit. And that's what he was talking about on Saturday, as in just give you a wee kind of rest away from having to be that mentally all the time in front of your centre-halves. So they've got the football brain as well as the football ability, if you know what I mean, no like to swap round. But I also loved, is that I know we were horsing St Johnstone, and it might be a bad example, but we've not seen it a lot, and that was like taking Callum McGregor off. I know we've got a big game and all, but taking him off and bringing Luke McCowan on and saying, there you go. That's so 15, hopefully that's 15 minutes, which by the end of the season is at least half an hour. And then next season's 45. No, that's sort of way we actually have a transition plan. And that would be lovely to see. I don't want to see Callum McGregor going anywhere, but we need to know we've got reliable backup for that, and it's good to see we can actually start. Even if it's just domestic, that would be marvellous. Right, so just before we move on to sticking to domestic, Hector, that is now 6 clean sheets in the league, matching the record. And our start of the season podcast with the predictions, and I said, I reckon we'll go unbeaten in the league. It was 18-1, now it's down to 71. Do you think there's any chance? I know it's pie in the sky, but on what you've saw so far, we've not seen Aberdeen yet. Is that your biggest fear?
I think the biggest fear is about no wanting to jinx it. We can all see it. We can all see how good they've been. And the squad depth is really good. Domestically, we're talking here, right? So is there a chance they could do it? Absolutely. There's a chance, because we look right now as if we're considerably better than all the other teams. We've got so many ways now we can break teams down, right? We're not dependent on one style of play.
Exactly.
Right? Get out the wingers and let them try and beat it. No, we can score goals for. In fact, the amount of goals that's getting shared across the team now is an example of that. We're not dependent on a striker getting 40 goals. Every player, the front three, the midfield three, Camak's got 4 goals this season. Engels has got 2, Bernardo's got 2 already. Right? Ida's got 3 in the last 2 games. Kyogo, he's the same, got a couple of the weekend. So we're sharing the goals, which is great to see. I think we can do it. I don't. Funny enough, the one thing that might make it more challenging is if we do well in Europe, as daft as that might sound.
Double-edged sword.
But give me that any day of the week, Desi. Give me us ideally getting through to the knockout round as a minimum. Absolutely. I would sacrifice a defeat or 2 domestically. But yeah, of course we can do it. The squad's there to do it. Absolutely.
Aye. And again, there's also, Monty, the double-edged sword. I always talk about the adrenaline crash, especially if you've got big results in Europe, and it's always hard to lift yourself, the physiology or whatever, to actually, even though you might be fit, that adrenaline crash is always a hard thing. So if we do well in Europe, there's a wee odd chance we'll slip up with like a 1 each against us at Murn, etc. But it's not going to be the end of the world, is it?
Well, they kindly gave us 2 away games after the 2 arguably hardest Champions League games. We were away to Ross County on Sunday, and then we're away to Motherwell the Sunday after we've played Atlanta. So it'll be one of those ones, Desi. Just as you were talking there, actually, fuck me, that's really kind of them. After Leipzig as well, we go away to Kilmarnock. So 3 away games after 3 European games, which is all very pleasant. I think that the difficulty is the maintenance of the levels after those big, the emotional crash, and even more so when you get something out of it, because you put that much into getting something out of it. You've seen it to an extent with the Falkirk game. Aberdeen, I was just reading about as you were talking there, and they seem to have been, they've been really, really impressive. They're able to soak up pressure, but some of the commentary I just read there from the likes of Barry Robson saying that a better team might punish them, or Dundee had them under the cosh for spells. But hey, they've won 6 out of 6. They're not to be dismissed in any shape or form. I do think our real sort of banana skins are going to come after a European game, as you said, Dizzy.
Yep.
We will pick up injuries. We already have one, to a starting player.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be that test of squad. But when you look at it and you stack it all up, you look at the resources we have, you look at the way we're playing, you look at the fact that it looks like a very happy camp at the minute. 70-1, did you say? Going the whole
Seven. It's
season?
down to 7, so it was 18
7?
at the start. It's down to 70-1 with William Hill, down to 71. It was 18-1 at the start when I looked up. Right, so you just
that's a
touched on something
33. That's a 33 game ACA you'd get.
Exactly.
Fuck me, you're better
So,
put on a 33 game accumulator.
yeah, but if you were to bet Celtic plus the draw in every game, you probably would be doing about 1 to 20 on that, to be honest, per game. Right, yeah. So domestically, everything's gone well. We've got Aberdeen in the Cup semi-final, so that will be a meeting of the two big giants this year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But Hector, we are now looking forward 24 hours time at Celtic over to Germany to play Dortmund. And Hector, we did discuss this before. Cameron Carter-Vickers will not be playing tomorrow night. So do you have trust in Trusty?
I've got no other option, really, have we?
Rocky.
Well,
apparently there's a player in there, a certain member of this podcast once said.
It was actually interesting. He got a few minutes against Falkirk. He actually gave him, was it 5 or 10 minutes? And we all kind of went, that's a bit of a shock. So for Trusty, so what's been positive is Trusty's now had the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Right. He got the 90 against Falkirk, and he got the 90 against St Johnstone, and he'd also started a couple of games this season. I think it's Sheffield United. So match fitness, he's absolutely fine. He's obviously a left-footed like Scales, so you've got a lefty playing the right-hand side of the defence. Okay, domestically, probably that's okay against a Dortmund team with bags of pace, with its own challenges, isn't it? But he looked okay at the weekend. I mean, couldn't pick fault in any player, I thought, on Saturday night. But Scales has been solid. What, to jinx anything? Scales has been absolutely solid this season so far. I do appreciate, again, though, he's going up a couple of levels come tomorrow night. But what I think is helpful is that Schmeichel's there. You've consistency about quality of keeper. Your 2 fullbacks, it's consistency of selection and Scales. So we're no jumbling about players to different positions, like moving one out and moving one here. It's 1 for 1. So that should help us. But also the guys in front of the back line, Desi, that consistency of how we're playing, that helps to give them a bit more protection. So Trusty, hope he does well. He's got the pace and the physicality that Rodgers has asked for. You can see that the other night. Was he 6'3", 6'4", and bags of pace. So hopefully he plays well. He'll need to play well, really well.
Yeah, there was one aspect in Saturday's game where Trusty did race back to prevent an attack, so he did show a good turn of pace. I think ultimately it get judged offside or whatever, but somebody were breaking through. So fingers crossed. But Monty, so Carter-Vickers, so that I'm just reading Brendan's interview here. Cam is not available. We'll see what he's like going into next weekend, but he's not here for this one. Clearly he's a top-class player, but he's missed a little bit of Champions League football, I think, in his time. 5 of the 12 games the club have played, he has unfortunately not been able to play in. So it's apparently a big toe or a toe injury, Monty. So again, we had a little bit of back and forth between us and the E-Tims WhatsApp. And my thoughts, Monty, was this is literally a game that we're probably going to get beaten. I would say we're 95% chance of getting beaten this game. So I'd rather see Carter-Vickers being rested. This is before it was confirmed. But what's your thoughts, Monty? Is it a case of game as long as it takes, or do we just get him over the line as quickly as possible to get back on the pitch?
I think I read it was a metatarsal injury, so one of those wee sort of very light, slight sort of motor bones, if such a fucking phrase exists. They're important for movement, I think. Remember Beckham had a broken metatarsal famously in a World Cup. So I think it's one of those ones that's just all you can do is rest it, Desi, or give it protection and let it naturally heal, and it takes time because of the nature of the fracture or the damage. So for me, I think just take as long as you need to get him back fit. I mean, this match tomorrow night, and arguably the one next in the Champions League, they're the ones we talked about as maybe being a free hit. But I actually do think out of the 2 games, we're going to take something out of one of them, Desi. And if anything, I'd say maybe tomorrow night is probably the better option of the 2.
Right.
So
That's
I'm
interesting.
glad we're resting him. There's a bigger
Yeah,
picture. I'm glad we're resting him.
As I say, I think that's my take on it. This is, if you're going to have to miss him, then I think this is a game that probably is going to happen. But before, Hector, I just wondered before, I'm going to come to you for a wee bit of analysis on Dortmund. But Hector, I was just wondering, did you notice the other night, Gustav Lagerbielke coming on for 20 at Old Trafford?
Yeah, and his first touch was to hoof it away, wasn't it?
Was it up to Lammers to score? Sam Lammers and Lagerbielke. The strange world of football. You know what I mean?
They came on they were trying to hold on to a one each result, weren't they? But it's now looking at it, they must be gutted to only get a draw at Old Trafford. They're fucking rotten, aren't they? They're terrible. For those of us of an age where there's some clubs in England, Liverpool, Man U in particular, are known for a brand of football, aren't they? Attacking, fast-paced, and you know, you watch Man U and you think, fuck me, they must have since Fergie's gone. What's that, about 10 years of horrible shit football? And yet you've got Ange at Spurs, who's no perfect by any means, but he'd tick a lot of boxes, wouldn't he, at Old Trafford in terms of getting fans off their seat and attacking football and all that. But anyway, that's one for them to think about. So yeah, Lagerbielke exists, does he? And
yeah, God bless him. So, well done.
Yeah, well done, Gustav.
So yeah, so Dortmund, you, as our resident tactician, Hector, have you been running your eye over our opponents for tomorrow night?
Yeah, what I did was I did a wee look at the squad and any changes to the squad since last May, June, wasn't it, the final when they played Madrid at Wembley. Now we know their manager has moved on, so that in itself is a significant change. But I looked at the players they've brought in, and obviously some of the players that have departed, and there's a lot more change than I initially thought until I looked at it. So who they've brought in, they're spent a fair bit as you'd expect. They've brought in top striker from Hoffenheim, was best part of 30 million euros, a guy called Beer, good pint of beer there. And another striker they brought in from Stuttgart was Guirassy, and he was about 18 million. So there's 46 million euros they've spent in two forwards to come in, and over 20 million on a centre back from Stuttgart. So that's their three main players. They also got somebody relatively cheap from Brighton. You've all seen him, Pascal, is it Grohl, who was at Brighton, sort of attacking midfielder. They got him quite cheap, but 7 million. So he's a quality player as well. And they got a guy from Man City on loan, the fullback called Couto, who's a good player. So there's a lot of change there. But there's 4 or 5 players they brought in addition to a lot of the key players for last year. But this is the bit that surprised me, was the amount of first team players or guys who come off the bench who've left them since they got to the final. So number one, remember the big striker they had, was it Fulkrug?
Fulkrug, yeah.
He caused all sorts of damage. He's one of their best players in the CL. They sold him to West Ham in the summer for 20 odd million euros. Let me just double check. He wasn't always a starter, but he was one of the kind of core influences over the years. Was Marco Reus, who he's away over to LA Galaxy, free transfer, obviously early to mid 30s. Time had kind of came and gone, but he was a big influence, no doubt, as much behind the scenes. You mentioned guys like Forrest and others behind the scenes. Imagine he'd be the same with Dortmund. One of the right backs, guy called Wolf, he's away as well. He played a lot of their games last season at right back. This is what becomes interesting. I looked further down the list. Mats Hummels, again, centre half, and one of their main leaders, if not the captain, last season. He was arguably their best player at centre back. He has left a free transfer. And 2 other players, Maatsen, the left back, and loan from Chelsea. He's away. You think he's away back to Chelsea, possibly? And Jadon Sancho was on loan from Man United. He was fucking dynamite.
He's flying for Chelsea. He's flying for.
There you go. So I mean, that's Sancho, Maatsen, Hummels. There's 3 starters. Wolf was right back a lot of times. 4. Fulkrug 5. 5 starters for the summer, plus Marco Reus and a new coach. That's a hell of a change. That's a hell of a change. So Dortmund, without a doubt, amazing home record in the Champions League. Without a doubt, should be favourites tomorrow. But as we all know through experience, a new manager, new players, early in the season, maybe not quite gelled yet. If you're going to get Dortmund, this is probably the time to play them, rather than 3 months time.
I'm just looking, interesting, Monty, I'm just looking at results since August. Dortmund 2, Eintracht Frankfurt 0. Werder 0-0, but Dortmund had the man sent off. And then Dortmund beat Heidenheim 4-2. And then they went away to Bruges and won 3-0. And then Stuttgart, which is their bogey team the last few years for some reason, Stuttgart always seem to gub them. Stuttgart gubbed them recently 5-1, and everybody thought the wheels were falling off. Bochum then last Friday went 2-0 up. And again, it was, here we go, disaster zone. But Dortmund then came back to score 4-2. So one thing I'm noticing, apart from that game and only 10 men, they're scoring at least 2, averaging at least over 3 goals a game, Monty. So it could be quite an encounter tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think there'll clearly be goals in it. Like, they have a young English winger called Jamie Gittins, who scored a couple, I think, in Bruges in their game recently, and might even have scored a couple at the weekend. Or he's maybe got a start and came off the bench. So you're looking at that. You're looking at top tier in terms of both value and ability in terms of European football. Like they were, but as Hector's pointed out, it's a new team, new coach. That comes with its own challenges. I read a report, him and Sabitzer, is he an Austrian international, I think, or the guy moving forward?
Yep.
Apparently those two boys aren't seeing eye to eye. He's injured, interestingly, or he's coming back from injury for tomorrow. So it's a good time to play them. Equally, for us, we feel like we're kind of coming into peak. It's a good time for us to be playing them too, in terms of at least trying to go toe-to-toe with them, Desi. But I can't imagine you get long odds on a 0-0 tomorrow night, Desi. You took over the baton from Hector Bandito's fucking bets, Bandito's bets all those years ago. Yep. I'd say you get long odds on 0-0.
Let me go and find it. I'm just looking at their next games, their fixtures. So you'll get Celtic tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Then they play Union Berlin away. Then they play St Pauli, who used to be everybody's favourite, but they've kind of been elbowed right. Is that what you would say? But then they'll get Real Madrid on the 22nd of October in the Bernabeu, which you and I know very well, Hector.
Yep.
Maybe somebody will bring our seats. And again, it was nice to see the girls team well remember. Congratulations to the girls team, the women's team for achieving the first ever men and women's qualifying for the Champions League for a Scottish club. And they were rewarded with ties versus FC20, Chelsea and Real Madrid. So that's a nice bit of glamour. And they get to play the games at New Douglas Park in Hamilton, but apparently they're going to play Chelsea at Celtic Park. So congratulations to the women's team. Very well done. Tomorrow night, Hector. Can Celtic change it, or do they just play the same way, as in try and get the ball out to a Kuhn or a Maeda as quickly as possible, or do they try and suck it in and go over the top? Or is that the whole point? They've got options to play now, or they've got variations to their play that they can exercise if the opportunity arises.
I think that's where Rodgers is really his best, but he can do little, relatively minor tweaks that most of us as ordinary fans would struggle to see, but in a game it can make a difference. So, for example, he might pick up on their back line, perhaps they have the pitch or playing slightly deeper. He might ask a player maybe to move slightly to one side if such a player's got position, just as we nuanced, wee tweaks. And I'd also say that unlike Ange, that was exciting, but Ange, as we all know, was one-dimensional. It was bang, wasn't it? It was just go, right? Rodgers has got more pragmatism. So we're playing great attacking football. It's definitely jumped a couple levels so far. But he also has that pragmatism where he might ask a player just to slot into a certain position, just to be aware and cover. I think Ange was less inclined to even consider such a blasphemous thing of changing or diverting away from his preferred system. So I think it'll be very interesting. I think we will go and have a go and attack. I think we're at our best doing that. I think the players are at their best doing that. And if you're on a roll, Desi, we play in a certain style and everyone's buzzing and they're flying, you'd be crazy, I think, to change it too much. So it might be a wee nuance change, but nothing significant. I think we're going to go there and try and beat them.
Very, very interesting. I'm just looking up here, Monty, 18-1 for a 0-0 draw tomorrow. So clearly the bookies think there's going to be goals.
What are just 3 each tomorrow out of interest?
3 each, 1 second. I'm just putting a bet on 4-2 to Dortmund there. So that's my prediction for the game. I will go, let me see, competitions, Champions League, and Celtic. Here we go. 3-3, correct score. What's your prediction before I get up? I'll go for 50-1. 40-1.
66.
3-0, 40-1. 40-1, yep. 4-4 if you're feeling 150-1. You know what I mean? Bring back Jakanowski. You know what I mean?
What is it? 5-1 to Celtic, Desi? 5-1 to Celtic?
5-1. Unavailable. 5-1. You can get 6. For some reason, you can get 6-3. I mean, but 5-1, 250-1. 250-1.
It might be one of those bets, more than 5 goals or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to say. But it appears to be Dortmund can score. The only game they've no scored in, only 10 men. So I think we can probably write that off. But yeah, you get plenty of games like that, like bets greater than to score 2 goals. Hold on, I'm just trying to scroll down. Doesn't matter. We can come back to that. Right. So Monty, what do you think then, prediction-wise? How do you see it panning out? You're Brendan Roy. You are a guy. You've scored on the big stage, apparently. It has been mentioned once or twice. What do you see? So are you sticking with Kyogo up front for the ball over the top? Monty?
Yeah, I think what you've seen start at the weekend is the starting 11 for Dortmund. I think you'll also see that same variation in patterns of play that you touched upon too, Desi. That press, that counter press, the ball over the top. And interestingly too, Sahin, their manager, picked out Kyogo for his runs and his intelligence. So that's something they'll be prepping for. You're not starting with Ida, you're bringing Ida on later. And the same, I think, with Hatari, unless we're forced to. I think Forrest will play a part in the game, especially if we've got something to hold on to, or if we're on the front foot in the latter stages. I think Forrest will come into the game just for experience. But I think we just go for it, Desi. Not in the horror shows of PSG and Barcelona in Brenton's first sort of spell. I don't think he's that naive's the wrong word. I don't think he's as adhering to his principles. This time he said it himself. He's a more mature manager. He knows how to deal with these things better. So that pragmatism will be there. But I think we're going to go for it, Desi. If I'm him, you've nothing to fear. The way you're playing, fucking nothing. Go for it. Stick to your principles. You hear them all talking about we're doing the basics. His theme in this appointment is to do world class basics. You've seen him. I don't know if you've seen that. They have it up on the wall in the changing rooms, and this is his new ethos. Remember, he had that, was it commit or something he called that first? Everybody got their own individual development.
Ted Lasso's got believe. I mean, he's got believe above the dressing room.
It was something along those lines. You remember in his first period, it was around everyone, and it stood for, there was a word anyway, basic management speak. I think this time, world-class basics. So fuck it. If you keep the basics and you do them absolutely top drawer, you're not going to fear. I think we will. I think we'll go for it.
But it is a big match for us in terms of, I've heard this free hit and everything. I get it. I get why folk have said that, especially after such a convincing 5-1 win against Bratislava. But I also think it's a benchmark for us because we've started so well now. And we should win most games domestically, but it's how we're doing it. We're pummeling teams. I'd like to see how we do tomorrow night against them. I'm under no illusion how difficult it's going to be. But they pump us 4-1, 5-1, then we'll look at each other and shrug our shoulders and go, fucking same old, here it goes again, right? If we go there, and this is the important thing, some of the games last year with big decisions, red cards, went against us. I'd like to see another naivety, right? Just make it 11v11 and compete. They're going to get chances, probably score goals, but I want to see us cause danger against them. I want to see us keep the ball at times under pressure. I want to see us look like a mature team because remember, this is now, a lot of our players have gained 3 years of Champions League experience now.
Yep.
Right? It's not year one when it was Ange coming in and we're learning their trade. This is the third season at it. I wouldn't underestimate that experience and just knowing when to maybe take a wee foul or take some steam out the game. Everything doesn't have to be 100 miles an hour. So I'm just hoping tomorrow night we compete. We're in the game, and if they beat us 2-1 or 3-2, we're in the game. We're making it hard for them. Anything better than that. See if we come out with anything tomorrow night. Let's be blunt about it. It's a fucking game changer for us in terms of looking at this team.
It's a statement.
Yes or no? Yes or no, Hector? So are you happy to be a Falkirk tomorrow night?
I think we're far bigger than that. I don't mean
the
fans.
I think, to be brutally honest, I think in comparison, I think it's apples for apples.
No, I think look at comparable budgets. I think we're probably 10 times plus bigger than Falkirk. Dortmund's maybe twice ours. So I think we're
quality-wise, quality opposition, quality of actual football environment. I still think they're a lot. Right. I think they're another. Look at Champions League finalists. I know there's been changes, but there's still a quality level there, even though there's fluctuations.
We're agreeing with you. Everyone is the same thing. So we're not disagreeing with you. We're absolutely saying they're a level above. The question is, have Celtic now improved? That's the question. We don't know the answer to that until this game tomorrow night. Have Celtic improved domestically by a distance, right? Have we improved in the Champions League? But we just pumped Bratislava 5-1. Could have been 8-1. Now, we know Bratislava, it doesn't matter. We've struggled against teams of their comparable ability in the past. We leathered them. But the next step is we're now playing a tier 1 club away.
Yep.
Yes. Have we improved? I think we're in as good a position as we've been in. Excuse me, obvious exception be Carter Vickers not been available, right? Every team has players injured. I just want to see, have we improved? Can we give them a game tomorrow night? I think we can give them a game tomorrow night, but I just want us to play the game. What maybe that is 11v11, be streetwise, use some of that recent experience, play the game, be professional, play the game, and then who knows? I think if we were absolute best tomorrow night, we could take something.
Yeah,
but will we beat our absolute best? Will they allow us to get to our absolute best? That's the question. I don't know.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, so I was about to throw in the joke of at which point do we think the Civ's going to turn up? The standard European night Civ turning up. Hopefully, it's still in its holidays and we don't see that again. But again, there's a lot of pressure on Scales and Trusty through the middle. Trusty's playing in his wrong side and also these wee sort of things, Monty, can cause that half a second pause. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's all these teams need. Let's not forget Dortmund are last year's finalists. So this is the level we're at, but this is the level we want to be at, Monty.
Yeah, and just listening to you around the balance, better environment and all that, absolutely. Bundesliga, top 5 league. But then you counterbalance that. We have an elite level proven coach. They have a relatively new coach. Rodgers is in the place now. It's the second season. It's his squad. This guy's had one window at most. He's lost a lot of players. There's always environmental factors, Desi, that I think offset a lot of the inbuilt advantages. But for me, go and have a go. Your Falkirk analogy is a good one. Would you be happy to be a Falkirk, and get a Ferric, great R, and then they turned on the afterburners? I don't think that will happen. I don't think the way that we play now will allow a team to do that to us. I really don't, Desi. I think we've just got more in the armory now. And Hector's point, or maybe you mentioned that the sending's off. Discipline. With players now 2-3 years Champions League experience. Scales has got a season of it under his belt now too. It's new for Trusty. How many debutants will we have? Well, no, they've already had their Champions League debut at Celtic Park, so there's nobody. Interestingly, I read, by the way, Engels made his debut for Augsburg at Dortmund Stadium, so he's kind of happy. They got beat 4-3. This isn't new for him. It's just going to be another great environment for boys who've gone and played in the Bernabeu and played in the Metropolitan in Madrid and other stadiums. I don't think we've anything to fear. I really don't.
Desi, I'm going to ask you a question. You like to play devil's advocate, we know that, right? I'm
I
going
just think I'm the only
Desi,
realist in this team. Sorry,
Desi, nobody's saying Celtic's going to win tomorrow night.
I
Right?
know. I'm not saying they
No
are.
matter what you think
We haven't got around to my
just,
prediction yet.
Aye, 4-1. Question I've got for you, Desi, you in particular, right? I know Monty's answer, right? And plus, you'll talk for half an hour if I ask him this question, right? So, question for you, Desi, right?
Mhm.
What will your thoughts be other than the enjoyation? If Celtic take a draw tomorrow night, or were to somehow sneak a win, what would that make your view on the Celtic team squad with Rodgers? If we take a point, or even better, we're to win 2-1, what would that do in terms of your chain of thought?
Yeah, well, again, I think it would be a monumental step up from where we are. Again, like, my caveats are we've no faced anybody of any quality. No, I don't mean that as me. I'm trying to get to the stage. No, I agree. But what I'm trying to, like, if we can go to Dortmund haven't been beat at home this season. If we can go to Dortmund in front of 80,000 fans, the yellow wall, that whole intimidating European pedigree atmosphere, and come away with a draw, even if it was the best of draw, if we get a win, a miraculous win, amazing. But as you mentioned there, if we could put in a performance, even if we get narrowly beaten, it was one of the bastards results, then you still know you've taken a massive step from where we were. Getting in now, you've gone to the Bernabeu and just getting horsed. PSG playing about with us. So I would be amazed in a wonderful way and think, right, okay, and the amount of confidence that would give the team as a boost as well as the fans, then you can start to say, right, we should be getting this 10 points. We don't need this to rely on the home games and hope for the best elsewhere. My worry is that we go tomorrow and we're already at the top, we're already near the top of that Champions League current table. I just don't want us to start tumbling down and then the rot, for want of a better word, starts to creep in. So as long as we put up a show tomorrow, then I'm quite happy. So I'm quite happy with gradual progress. As I say, my goal was...
That was my question, Desi. My question.
Your question was...
If we were to get a result tomorrow night, what would that then mean in terms of your outlook and view of this Celtic squad?
I just think it would be a one major step in the right direction. It's a marathon, no a sprint. I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to say it's a one-off fluke. Fucking jammy bastards.
That's exactly what I'm going, Monty. Because I'm not going to carry away.
He stopped himself getting it.
Couldn't even let himself enjoy it for 2 minutes. Even the thought.
Drop the guard. You can't do it.
Listen, you guys love to think he's a realist, but he's a dreamer.
Gloom. Here he goes again.
What part of if we turn up tomorrow,
tumbling down the table, we're gonna get thumped, tumbling. By the way,
I'm telling you,
lose the next 2 games. By the way, we all expect us to lose the next 2 games realistically.
Aye, right.
But we're entitled to feel a bit more confident than we felt when the draw was made weeks ago, based upon how we're playing.
A win and a draw is realistic.
4 points next 2 games,
for Dortmund. Dortmund against Real Madrid. I don't think they'll get a goal there.
Chase, Desi. Is it 4-2 to Dortmund? Is that your prediction?
4-2 to Dortmund tomorrow.
And is it a 4-0 with 2 late goals, or is it a competitive?
No, I think we'll score first. We'll score first, and then we'll score first, and then we'll get a guy sent off, and then they'll go 4-1 up, and then Gavin Strachan's laptop will get us a goal in the last minute. So 4-2. There you are.
Right, okay. So we're going to go from joy to we're going to go from elation to fucking desperation.
I don't even see where I've not been negative one bit.
That's your question. 4-1 with a last minute Gavin Strachan laptop heater. Sounds like desperation.
But it's Michael that scores it.
That's right then. Right, Monty. Come on, Monty. I've got a feeling with you. I think you're going to go somewhere that Desi's going to have to switch his camera off before they're about to predict you.
Monty will have his winning it.
Well, yes, I do actually, and I have us winning it 4-2.
No, you don't.
I do.
What's your prediction?
4-2.
And what are you basing that on?
I'm basing it on a team in Dortmund who haven't yet settled for their manager, and a team in
Nobody
Celtic.
made it home this season.
They got pumped 5-1 by Stuttgart.
It's Stuttgart, away.
Yeah, exactly. Stuttgart. A team who I think had a decent season last season, on an upward trajectory with their manager and settled into a pattern of play. I think we've got a lot more going for us at that level than we outside the tent currently believe. And I think tomorrow night's going to prove it. I don't think Bratislava was a one-off. I also don't think Bratislava were as shite as a 5-1 hammering would suggest they were. We got away with one until we settled into believing that we were going to do that team. If you remember the first 15, 20 minutes, they had a couple of chances that a better team puts away and we get hurt. Same with the Huns. But now we're not, we did it. It's incredible. The psychology of when you do it once is fucking incredible. You just start to believe it. And I think this is the perfect time, as Hector said, to play Dortmund. There's goals throughout our team. There's pace in abundance. We can score. Look at angles from the edge of the box. When's the last time we had a fucking midfielder could score from the edge of the box? And McGregor's hit 4 from the fucking outside the box already. We're clicking into a way of playing that, Desi, there's very, very little difference. Going back to O'Neill's comment, there's very, very little difference in top-level footballers now. The elite guys have maybe a half a second of pace, but they just can caress the ball that bit better. And that's what an extra 10 or 20 million is. And just on that, talking about Liam Scales, Ireland played Portugal in I think a warm-up for Portugal in that last international tournament. Portugal beat them 3-0. And Scales said that was the first time at that level he got to understand it better. That those players, he says, you do everything right as a defender. You set your body, you do everything, you're coached, and you block exactly what he's going to do. And there's only this fucking tiny place that somebody can beat you with a ball. And the Portuguese players had the technique to hit that every single time. That was his education, starting properly to play against truly elite. I don't think Dortmund are a truly elite team. I think I look at them now, new players, not settled. A lot of kids, very good kids as well. So yes, misplaced glass more than half full. But I think we're going to score a few over here. And it's just if we can keep them out and get a wee bit of luck.
Are you going for 4-2 Celtic?
I'll stick a fiver on it now.
100 to 1.
Right. And
fucking jackpot. That's me.
Eddie, is anything Monty said there not made you change your mind at all?
I think that rarefied air in Lurgan is unbelievable. There's clearly some haw coming off the lock, blowing onto his land.
It's the blue-green algae on Loch Ness.
The methane is obviously coming off the lock. Good luck. If it happens, I'll be over the moon. That's all I'm going to say.
No, you won't.
No, you won't. You'll still
I'm not even watching it. Let's be honest. I'll be sitting under the stairs. Right, Hector, over to you.
Right. Do you know what?
Don't split hairs. Don't sit in the fence.
But we've all explained why we've came to the decisions, but the forecast we're going for. So we're playing the best start to season I've seen in many a day. I think that's a fact. I'm just trying to put down the pros and the negatives, right? I think that's a fact. Dortmund, as we mentioned earlier on, there's been a massive change for the last summer. So it's not the Dortmund, thankfully, that they reached the final. It's nothing near that team. That's a positive for us. I think we've learned a lot in the last 2 or 3 years. That's a positive. The negative is, I don't care what anybody says, there is a psychological thing. The longer and longer you go without getting that result, it plays in your mind. It's got to play in you. It's got to be psychological, and I think that's still there for us. We're away against 80,000 passionate fans with an amazing home record over there. So weighing everything up, do I think we'll get the players to cause them damage and score a goal or two? Absolutely. I think we will. But I think they've got the players to cause us every bit, if not more, damage. So I'm going to forecast Borussia Dortmund 2, Celtic 2.
2-2 draw. You heard it here first, folks. How to lose your money very quickly. Follow Monty and Hector. And we'll come back to it. Let me just check. 2-2. So mine was 28 to 1 for 4-2 Dortmund, 100 to 1 for Monty's 4-2 Celtic, and 2-2, 12 to 1. Hector, very conservative there. 2-2, 12 to 1. So very interesting to see, folks. Remember, All bets are your own responsibility. Please gamble carefully. Blah, 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 blah. We take no responsibility for people falling out with their wives. Right. So fingers crossed. We put in a performance. We all want to see Celtic do well. Some is more than others. And we'll see how it goes. Right. So I'm going to end the night with a slight twist on my Champions League quiz. A German Champions League quiz. Right. So I did have questions for each of us if Ralph turned up, but there's only two of you. So you can split them between you and you can answer as a collective, right? Can you name 3 Scots who have played for Dortmund?
Who's that for?
If both of you, just take them together. The answer's a team.
Oh, Lambert.
Yep.
Murdo.
Yep.
And
Heard
the
Scott
third
played
one.
for Dortmund.
Can you name another Scot who has played for Dortmund? I can give you clues if you like.
Give us one clue.
He's won the league 6 times as a manager.
Which league?
In Scotland.
6 times as a manager?
Yep. And 2 cups, 2 Scottish cups.
Play for Dortmund?
Played for Dortmund 1997 to 1998.
You say he's Scottish?
Yep, Scottish, yep. More Scottish than the other two. You'll understand why in a minute. Yeah.
More Scottish than Murdo McLeod.
And he won 6, so he had to play for Hungary.
He's won 6 leagues as a manager and 2 Scottish Cups as a manager in Scotland. And I just like to say, like, the people listening don't know, but I know you are this giving him a chance to listen at home. So thanks very much, guys. Do I
6 leagues and 2 cups as a manager, and he played in '97, means he has to be. McLeish didn't fucking play for Dortmund.
No, but you're close there. He did play for Aberdeen.
Strachan?
Putting the in Scotland.
Oh fuck! Played up front. Scott fucking Robertson. No, what Scott?
Big lanky.
Oh Jesus! I know. I can fucking see him.
Where do you go to vote, Monty?
Booth. Scott Booth.
Yeah, well,
How
Scott
did he win 6
Booth.
leagues? So 6
How did he win 6 leagues?
Glasgow City. Women's
fuck.
football counts too, you know. He's just returned as his assistant manager. So there you go. So that's a nice wee touch. Right. So this an easy one. I'm sure you will get these straight away. Can you name the Celtic German players of the recent past? Any Celtic German players you can name?
Andy Tom.
Yep. Daniel Craig, as I call him. 61 caps for 2 countries. That's a nice wee claim of fame, isn't it?
Andy Hinkle.
Andy Hinkle, yep. All right, so here's the supplementary quiz question. Which country is Andy Hinkle the assistant manager of?
Did he take the Switzerland assistant manager job?
Close.
Austria?
No, Belgium. He's the new assistant manager of Belgium. I've just like Andy Tom. He was there for 95 to 97, 2.5 years. We bought him for 2.6 million euros, whatever at the time, and sold them for 450,000. The fuck happened there? That's just mental, isn't it, if you think about it? Right, anybody else? We've got another 4 to go.
Oh, Nicholas Kuhn is there.
Nicholas Kuhn, yep, the new Paddy Roberts, correct?
Does
Morris Vance? Was it Vance?
Well done, Morris Jens, 19 games, 2 goals. He's now worth 7.5 million euros. Plays as a
good player.
Play on loan at Mainz 05 from Wolfsburg. So you've got 2 to go. 2 defenders.
Does Thomas Hitzelsberger count?
No. He did not sign. No.
2 defenders.
2 defenders. Let me give you a clue.
2 defenders. What period? What era? What time era?
The 2010s. One has as many German caps as he did have games for Celtic. Now retired.
Comper?
Well done. Big Marvin Comper.
Big Marv.
And one came from Dortmund. That's a nice way to round it out. One came on loan from Dortmund.
Jeremy Toljan.
Well done. Now I'm right back with Sassuolo.
He's fucking cheating.
What? No. Of course he's Googling. He's always Googling.
Fucking cheating.
Oh, here, I tell you, Toljan scored the fucking winner in the Scottish Cup final, didn't he?
No, is that no Pierre?
No.
Bouncer, Pierre,
Aye.
John Pierre.
I'm telling you now, Tall Jan scored
No,
a
yeah,
winner.
well,
didn't
according
he?
to
No,
mine,
he
it
didn't.
didn't.
Aye.
I thought it was that John Pierre, Doomby or whatever you were
He
thinking.
did that
It was
too.
Doomby. It was Doomby, I'm sure.
Oh, he did that as well.
Well, I've got 14 games.
Right, next
So-
question, Desi. Next question.
That's it. No, that's it. So one goal. Toljan did score one goal in the 2019-20 season. So no, that was it. That was all I had. I did have
Very good.
supplementary ones, but they were mostly based for Ralph. That was fine. So we'll just call it a day there. Thanks for playing, everyone at home. Hopefully you get a few answers there. So here we are. We're in the big leagues. Champions League Tuesday, here we come. Interesting to see. We can see where we are towards this end of September, move into October, and fingers crossed we'll get a good result tomorrow night, and then we'll see where we are towards the end of October for the next podcast, unless something sensational happens in between. If we do run out 4-2 winners tomorrow night, we'll get Monty on to tell us what he's going to spend where he's going to buy his next apartment, just with his winnings. No, I mean,
Just
so
looking
that's
here
a
at
good
Sintra, Desi, as we're talking. Looks lovely.
Lovely. That's what he's been Googling, apparently. No the answers to the quiz.
Aye,
Right, so
aye.
it's this left for me. This left for me to say thank you to everyone for listening. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment. We always like to see the comments, but it does help a lot. Thanks very much. And finally to say thanks to Hector Bandido for joining. Thank you, Hector.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure as ever.
And the same to Monty Seaburns. Thanks very much, Monty.
Thanks, Desi. Thanks, lads. Enjoyed that.
Okay, folks, thanks very much for listening. My name's Desmond. Good night.